Hey everyone, this is the demonstration video and the tutorial video for the GambleBarPro plugin by TR Software. So in the beginning of this video, I'm just going to do a demonstration of all the different features and how things look in game, and then afterwards we'll go through the configuration and explain the customizations that can be done to the plugin. So here, if we start, you can do bar help to see the main commands, and now this is the what an administrator would see. A player would only see the commands that are accessible to them, which you can set up in the messages file. But so first you can see bar, and then a bar ID will open a bar with that specific ID. So if we do bar, you can see here we have bar 2 or we have main bar. These other options that we can tab to, I can see because I'm an administrator. But so yeah, so let's say we want to open bar 2. So we'd open this bar, and there's all these different drinks that we can buy, and when we buy it, one of three things can happen after we drink it. We can either lose the drink, in which case we get nothing. We can win the drink and win a specified reward, and that reward can be set up with vault currency or reward commands. Or if we get super lucky, we could get a super lucky vault reward with the vault currency and super lucky reward commands. So you can configure what percentage all that is to happen. So yeah, and you can have as many bars and as many drinks in the bar. Well, you can have up to 54 drinks per bar, and you can have as many bars as you want. So in addition to opening bars with commands, you can also open bars with NPCs. So built into the plugin, you can spawn a villager that opens bars, but I just think it's much better if you use citizens to spawn an NPC and then give that NPC a command to open the gamble bar when people click on it. So this one is one that I created with citizens, and as you can see, it's just, you know, he moves around. I made him glow. You can pick the skin, the name. Just looks better. So here you can see in the default bar, it just opens up the bar. There's placeholders, so you can, configure different slots in the inventory that aren't the drinks for purchase. And then you can also probably notice here that RGB colors are enabled if you look at the title of this bar, and you can see it kind of fades from lighter blue to darker blue in the lore. I didn't really go too hard setting up the RGB colors, just because it's a pain in the ass with the configuration, but if you want it to be looking like a rainbow, you can set that up in the config yourself. Yeah, so let's see what else we have here. So you can give players a drink. An admin command is give, then you put in a player name, specify which bar we're taking the drink from, and then you can tab through the different drink IDs. So we want to give them that drink, and then what do you know, I have it. Right there is the command to spawn the villager that opens the bar. So that's what this guy over here is. If you look right here, gamble bar spawn the name, and then the bar ID that they will open. What I will note about the name is you can use color codes, and underscores will be replaced with a space. In order to remove an NPC, you would need a golden carrot, and you can right click on your NPC and they go away. With citizens, you would just remove them the way you normally would. And then the command you give these guys, if you look down here, is you can do bar open the player name and then the bar ID that they should be opening. So that's how you would set up a citizen's guy to do that. So another cool thing with the drinks is you can set them up to use custom model data. So I just switched to a texture pack in which I do have that set up, and as you can see, we have all these custom models for the drinks. And yeah, so that's pretty cool. So if you do use those, it'll override the colors that you have set in the configuration. But if you're not using custom model data, you can completely ignore that section in the configuration. And one more thing I'll note before we get into the configuration, that all the messages you've seen, all of the, well, I don't have sound on, but if I did, you would be able to hear that there are sound effects for winning and losing drinks. as well as the odds and the prices and all that. Pretty much everything you can think of is configurable. So yeah, we'll dive into what the configuration files look like now. Alright, so at the top of the configuration, you'll see all the different color options you have to make the drinks. So the color options depend on what version you're running. So if you're using 1.11 and up, you can pick from these options, and if you're using a 1.8 version, you can pick from down here. This boolean right here, if you want administrators to get alerts when they log in, if there's an update available, you can leave this to true. If not, you can set that to false. This drunk effect, so when a player loses a drink, this is the amount of time in seconds that they will get a blindness and nausea effect. So yeah, you can see down here. Okay, so this is just for the confusion, and then this is for the blindness actually. But same thing for both. If you want to enable sounds for winning and losing drinks, then you can enable this. And if you do enable this, there's a super win sound, and a lose sound. What I will caution you is make sure that the sounds that you select are appropriate for the version you're running. So there's a lot of newer sounds that don't exist in older versions of the game, and in the 1.8 version there are sounds that they changed the name of it. So just make sure if you're getting an error after you turn this on, you're probably just not using an appropriate sound. So down here, if you want a world in which a player cannot drink a GambleBar drink, you can just add that world to this list. If you don't want any world to be blacklisted, you can just get rid of that. But I'll leave it there. And so the default bar, pretty much if someone just types in bar, what bar should that open? And then you can set that to one of the bar IDs, which I will explain what that is right now. So here's a format that's actually not quite updated, so we'll brush past this, but pretty much this is what the format for a bar configuration looks like. So here we have the bar ID, right? So main bar. We have a title for the bar, which this has RGB colors in it, which is why it looks the way it does, but I'm pretty sure this just says default bar. The size of the inventory, which has to be a multiple of 9, and it can be up to 54. And then you can see here we have all these filler items, so I just have them as stained glass pane, and then the data to pick the color for the glass panes. And then if you scroll all the way down past this, you can see, so if you just want to have filler items in the inventory, you would have it look like this under, so this is the item slot, and then this is the item. If you don't want anything in that 9th slot, you could just get rid of this entire thing, and that goes for any other slot as well. And then when you want to add a drink, you would have a format that looks something like this. So for slot 10, so we have the name, we have the lore, we have the custom model data, which if you know how to use custom model data, you would just set this to whatever number it is you want that texture to be. If you're not using custom model data, you can completely ignore this. You can leave it there. It won't do anything. And if you're not using custom model data, what you can do is set the potion color, which you can refer to the top of this configuration file to get the appropriate colors. So here we have the price, how much it costs, using the vault currency. We have the reward for if you win the drink, and we have the super lucky reward if you get super lucky. So here you can see there's a 50% chance that you win this drink, and there's a 5% chance that you get super lucky. And then here you see the reward commands. These commands are run if you win the drink, and you can see that there's a player placeholder for the name, and a reward for the reward from the vault currency. You can add whatever other reward commands you want to add to a drink to customize the rewards or the experience. And then same thing, if there's a super lucky win, you can run some commands for that as well. So, and then if you just go down, you'll see a similar setup, another drink, 11. And you'll notice placeholders like price, reward, odds, and the lore, stuff like that. Yeah. So if you go all the way down, so you have more drinks, and at the end of the drinks, we have our filler items here to wrap up the inventory. And then if you come all the way down here, you'll see, oh, we have a second bar, and that second bar ID is bar 2. and then it just looks exactly the same as the previous bar configuration with the title, size, inventory, with all the different slots and drinks. And this one actually doesn't have any placeholders, but yeah, you get the idea. So that wraps up the config file itself. Now let's jump over to the messages file, which is actually pretty simple. So pretty much you can just change whatever message gets sent from the plugin here. And if you don't want a message to be sent in a particular instance, like say you don't want a message to be sent when they open a bar, you can just get rid of it and leave it like that, and that will be fine. So yeah, so you can see some of these messages have placeholders in them. So if it has placeholders in the default, you know that you can use it there, or it'll be written in the comments if you can use one there. And yeah, there's really not too much to get into with these messages. They're all pretty self-explanatory and noted with the comments.